In this episode, things get fishy as Gakuto has to deal with Umiko. Hey there, my name is Rex, and episode 69 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens. Now, things are actually kind of picking up as we've kind of entered this new arc as I guess we're going to call it the Goha employment arc or whatever, as we start things off and we're picking up with Yuga now employed at Goha because he said he would at the end of the last arc. So it's kind of neat though, seeing he seems to enjoy it at least, because now he's basically in charge of running all the most of the duel systems. Basically, he has Neil's old position, and we do catch up with Neil for a bit, like through a flashback. And even though Yuga had asked for Neil to get his old job back from Yuo as part of, basically his demands, right, as well as letting his siblings off the hook, or back in. Neil doesn't want to take the job back, and we also get to see Sebastian again. We see that at least, Yuga had fixed Sebastian, or at least, that's thrown out there. On one hand, I guess it maybe diminishes the impact of that one scene where Sebastian basically died because he couldn't bear to be without Neil. But, at the same time, it's like, okay, he's safe, so that's a good thing. But yeah, Neil doesn't want to return, so instead, Yuga basically gets his position. And as well as that, he also brought all of his friends there. So they're all just Goha employees now. I mean, that's real interesting. I'm wondering how that's going to be going, like with the school. But, just the way that in Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens, how characters will move around from place to place, position to position, is real interesting. So Yuga is an employee, basically head of the duel systems. Gakuto is also there, along with Ranze and Renosuke, which, good to see them. But Gakuto is basically enforcing more of the rules there, as he even, tells Yuga to stop riding his bike in the halls, which, of course, he doesn't stick around with. Roman is in the heading up the kitchen. The only way Roman can, but that's funny. And Luke has made his own fictional made-up division along with Swirly. So it's kind of funny, Swirly basically being like sort of the little younger brother to Luke, and everyone knows, but he's basically just following around Luke, and Luke's in his made-up position. I don't think Luke is even really doing anything. But we find the main conflict of this episode as Umiko, who is employed with Goha and, was this bubbly, funny person hosting the Rush Duel tournament, is instead a very cynical and sloppy worker in charge of the electrical portion of Goha. And, of course, that gets Gakuto's job to, track her down and tell her to, get things in order. And, it's real funny, too, seeing a lot of her personality just kind of flip-flopping from, this pessimistic sloppy to the super happy bubbly. So that's the portion of the episode. That's conflict of the episode, as Gakuto is going to duel her to basically, get her into shape, saying, hey, you got to clean up your act, basically. And again, it just makes sense because they're basically two opposites. So the duel begins, and we get to see Umiko's deck, as it's all thunder type monsters, but of course they're all sea based, they're all ocean based. And the main purpose of the deck basically is to inflict damage to the opponent, as there are a lot of cards that allow her to do that. And then even going into Gakuto's turn, Gakuto has a basic turn by summoning Yama Ruler, and we see exactly how sloppy Umiko is being in her dueling, which is even, called out by Ranze and Renosuke, which again, I think that this whole dynamic works out well because, Gakuto being the way he is, and on top of that, Ranze and Renosuke being how they are just exactly the complete opposite of Umiko, to the point where this one card, which has a pretty interesting effect, a trap card that would inflict 400 damage to the opponent and would special summon a monster from the hand and negate an attack of the opponent's. So we see that she uses this before Gakuto even declares an attack. So sure, she gets the 400 damage to the opponent, but doesn't get to special summon the monster because, he didn't declare an attack yet. So we see just how sloppy that she is in dueling. So Gakuto gets in for some damage in this turn, and coming over into Umiko's turn again, she's doing more, summoning more monsters and inflicting more damage. And the crazy twist, she's like, oh hey, I picked up this card the other day, is it okay if I use it? And it turns it to be fusion. So now this is basically the way to say that yes, everybody and anybody can have a fusion spell and a fusion monster now. As we know that at the end of the last arc, a bunch of them just kind of came to Earth. We don't get exactly a full explanation of like, yes, I went and I picked this up and I have this card and I'm using this card now. But she just uses it and summons this big fusion monster. So technically the first fusion summon not by a main character, or a villain, because up to this point we've only had Yuo, Yuga, and Luke perform fusion summons. So now Umiko gets this monster, and that also reduces the attack of one of Gakuto's monsters, Yama Ruler, and inflicts damage. So seemingly this attack would be for game, although Gakuto is able to hang in there with a trap card, and while he still does lose Yama Ruler, he just survives with his life points. But then onto his turn, he's able to bring back Yama Ruler, has another monster, and now he goes in for a fusion summon as well. And he brings out Yamaterasu, this new fusion monster for his deck. And this one is also pretty neat. One interesting thing is, Yama Ruler's effect would prevent level 7 or higher monsters from being tribute summoned, but Umiko was able to get around that with the fusion monster. But now Gakuto's fusion monster, Yamaterasu, prevents level 9 or lower monsters from being special summoned in attack mode, or at least, for the next turn. So that is a really interesting one and really powerful. I think it could be, as long as you summon that first, as long as you're first to go and you're able to bring that out. That's pretty powerful, because then that also stops fusion monsters as well. Again, as long as that one brings out first. And it also prevents Umiko from activating that other trap card, the other copy of that trap card, that would special summon a monster and negate an attack. So again, we're just kind of seeing this new fusion monster's ability really come into play. So that's the end of the duel. Gakuto defeats Umiko, and Umiko just kind of turns a new leaf and kind of realizes, like, oh, what I was doing there, and apparently she was trying to take over, her plan was to take over Goha, but she had no plan exactly on how she would do that. So again, just shows how sloppy she is. So now she's out of here. At the end of the episode, she leaves, and so that's it for the again, the aliens, the time travelers, the fish people, the underground people. I don't know what we're calling them. I think overall we're calling them the alien girls, or all the Ko's, because they all have Ko in their name. So we'll see how that goes. And I totally expect another one to come out. We didn't get any answers as to what's going on there. Although at one point in the episode, I think she did use like one of the little phrases that one of the other ones used. So the whole theory of like, oh, are they all the same person is still stands. But we'll have to see exactly where that goes. Again, just the way that they had interacted with characters previously. They're not the same character, but there's still obviously some connection. What it is, we don't know. I think that's probably one of the biggest burning questions in the series now, which is just funny to think. But overall, a fine, decent episode, kind of like a first episode to the arc. The last one was a recap episode, so I don't know whether we'll count that as like the first. Technically, it is the first episode of the new arc, but this one feels much more like a new episode. Everybody's in their new positions, they're settled in, and it establishes that all these other characters have fusion spells as well. So the floodgates are open. Anyone can have fusions. So that is pretty neat. But we'll see how things are going forward. I enjoyed this episode. That was nice. And I can't wait to see what else happens. And especially, if everybody's just going to be Goha employees, I think that's like a neat setting to explore and to, play around with in the series. But let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video also, you can leave a like and subscribe to show your support, and enable notifications to make sure you see each new one as it comes out. But anyway, this has been Rex. Have a nice day.